What's going on, everyone? It is the Source Plug today, and today I'm going to be reviewing Sonic 2. Now, this is going to be a non-spoiler one. I'm debating on whether I'll do a spoiler or non-spoiler, but I'm debating on whether I'm going to do a spoiler as well, but at the same time, we'll just have to see. But right now, here's my non-spoiler quick review on how I felt about Sonic 2. Anyway, let's get right into it. So, Sonic 2 is directly happens after Sonic 1. I believe pretty much essentially a year almost, close to a year. And a lot of things have changed. Okay, Sonic is trying to grow up, and he's trying to still understand things and how his powers have pros and cons to them. And the arc that Sonic goes through in this movie is essentially the arc of what does it actually mean to be a hero with these powers. And I think that's one of the things I really do love about this movie is that you gave Sonic a simple arc, but it sounds like a simple arc to have, but I think having a simple arc allows the writing the freedom to do a lot of things, to go on this great big adventure instead of feeling so determined to only talk about Sonic's arc. Now, in the callbacks, there's a lot of callbacks to the first movie where I won't go into detail, but there's some certain parts of the first movie where it's loose plot threads, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you saw the first movie. And in this movie, they really do a good job of wrapping it all up in a nice gift wrap and handing it to the audience and saying, "Here's your answers to all your questions that you might have had that you thought were plot holes." Now, in this movie, there's a lot, and I mean a lot more references to Sonic and just pop culture overall. So if you are a fan of the Sonic games throughout, they have so many references, and sometimes it almost feels like they took the game level or just the game itself and just put it on the screen for you. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you go see it. You'll just see how well you'll see how well they execute it. But also, I love the return of Robotnik, and he comes off as this guy. He's still Jim Carrey knocks at the park. He does a great job as Jim Carrey. His role as this eccentric, intelligent being that's just better than everyone else is still spot on. I will say though that his he never bothers me with his performance because I always sit back and I'm like, it's Jim Carrey playing Robotnik. Why would I take it seriously? But there's some things sometimes where he goes like a little too far with this eccentricness. I don't even know if that's a word, but eccentricness. But it doesn't take me too far out of the immersion. Um, it doesn't take too far to pull me out the immersion though. So I'll say that. And plus, his dynamic with Knuckles, because if you saw the trailer, now this is spoilers. If you don't know already, Knuckles is in this movie, and his interactions with Robotnik is very interesting of sorts. And it's almost like when he's working with Robotnik, he learns a lot of lessons and things that that really affects his character as the story goes on. And that's another thing that I do love about this movie is that not only did they give Sonic an arc, but they gave everyone an arc. They gave Tails, Knuckles, Sonic an arc. Everyone has their own important moments that let them shine and let them see things that open up their eyes to greater things and what they should be instead. Um, so the interaction between Knuckles and Robotnik was hilarious because Knuckles' humor is different from Sonic's. Knuckles' humor is his seriousness is what makes him so funny because he takes everything at face value and he doesn't think of the nuance or context of situations. This particular scene, you'll know the scene I'm talking about. This particular scene where he looks at things at face value and to him it makes perfect sense in his mind. But everyone else around him is like, "Dog, what are you talking about?" But it's very interesting. Now, moving on to Sonic and Tails dynamic, I think Tails and this is depicted as a humongous Sonic super fan, and they do a really good job with this. Tails comes off so sweet and gentle and kind, just this character that you would just want to be around. It has that kind of like little sibling vibe, if you know what I mean. Where like you're instead of like you guys hate instead of you guys roasting each other and everything like that, instead Sonic kind of it's almost like a big sibling, little sibling type of dynamic where Tails was he's with Sonic and they go on these adventures and Sonic just is there to always make sure Tails is okay and Tails makes sure Sonic is okay, vice versa. So it's a really good dynamic that they both have and adventures, their time together is so not just emotionally satisfying to see on the screen, but also action wise, it's very intriguing. Tails, do not sleep on Tails now, okay? I know in the movies he's more of like the support person. He's not the super strong dude. But let me tell you something. Tails is good if you use him wisely, okay? You'll see in this movie how well they use Tails. Now, I will say though, this definitely became a more kid friendly movie. I would say it definitely became a more kid friendly movie, kidlier. I don't even know if that's a word. It's not a word, but more of a kid friendly movie than the first one. And by that I mean, with this one there was a lot of humor and a lot of jokes. The first one had a lot of jokes, but this one had like a lot of humor in there. To me personally, a lot of it landed. There's this particular scene um, in the movie that has everyone that you has a lot of people that you've seen before, and they have this running joke going on, and it just lands so perfectly each and every time, and it's just so hilarious to see. But no, this one definitely became a more kid friendly movie. Um, but at the same time, it felt like they balanced it perfectly from it being a love letter to Sonic fans, but also a family good outing for general audience people. So, and that's, if you have a question, if your
Hey, will
question
my
is,
family who's not big Sonic fans at all enjoy this movie?
the answer is yes. Yes, your family will like it because it covers a lot of things. It covers humor, it covers action, it covers adventure, and also has a nice subtle story that really brings everything full circle that I think anyone of any age range will love, whether you're a kid, a young adult or elderly. I think everyone will love this movie really a lot. Now, I will say the third act is stellar. The third act as a Sonic fan is so well done. So the everything. I won't go into detail, but I will say that if you're a Sonic fan, you know what I'm talking about. The third act was so beautifully written, the way it was designed and executed. I have absolutely zero complaints about the entire third act. I thought it was wonderfully done on how they handled certain moments. And there was a time I was in theaters and I was sitting there and I was like, wait, hold on a second. If I remember correctly, if this happens and this happens and then this happens, and then it played out exactly how I thought it would play out, and then the moment happened, and it was just a big moment for everyone in the theater. I heard so there's a lot of in this entire movie from act 1 to act 3 throughout. There's a ton of cheering, excitement. A lot of emotions are felt throughout this movie. It's a really good movie, and even though it's a more kid friendly movie, that doesn't take away the Sonic lore that it introduces throughout this entire story. Now, before I get into my negatives, the last thing I want to introduce is the post credit scene. There's only one post credit scene. There's only one post credit scene, and all I'm gonna say is this: the post credit scene you should stay and watch. I don't know if you're a person that does not care about Sonic, you most likely don't need to because you won't even know what it is anyway. But you do not leave your seat. And the post credit scene doesn't even take that long. It probably takes like a good minute. And then they circle back real quick to the post credit scene and then they let the credits play. It's a very important post credit scene that I think you want to be in theaters. When it showed up at my theater, everyone erupted. It was so crazy. To me, I was building up so much hype for how the third act went as it went that when the post credit scene happened, I literally, and everyone in the row with me, literally got up and I was like punching the air in excitement. I was like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. Da, 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 da. Like I was really into and it was just so phenomenally. I'm so excited for what Sonic 3 has in store because I think out of all video game adaptations, I would have never thought Sonic would do so well back to back. It's amazing to me. So anyway, so I don't get too nerdy on y'all. Let me dive into the negatives real quick. So the only negatives I have is more so little nitpicks. Dr. Robotnik's scene sometimes drags on a little bit too long at certain points where it kind of feels like, okay, let's either trim this down. And that leads into also the runtime. You definitely feel this movie. This is a 2 hour movie, and you definitely feel it in certain parts. I feel like they could have trimmed a lot of scenes down, or there's some scenes in there too they didn't really need for the story necessarily. Like they were, but then it's also hard to say because There was narrative importance, right? There was narrative importance where it was emotional, then also action setup and stuff like that. So I can't say those scenes weren't important or vital to the progression of the story, but I will say that there's a lot of scenes that could have trimmed to probably eat in that 2 hour and probably make it a good hour 45 possibly. You know what I mean? Um, but overall, no, it was phenomenal. It did a really good job. Um, Besides the runtime, there is a certain scene. I personally thought it was funny because the way it was executed. Some people probably won't, and I think that's probably gonna be the one nitpick a lot of people have. It's very kiddish at times, and it's a Sonic movie. It's about a hedgehog. It's about a hedgehog with powers of speed. Come on, I'm not expecting some cinematic masterpiece of like dark mature themes being explored. It's not that. So anyway, really only my negatives is just the pace. Not even the pacing really. The pacing was fine. It's just the time length you feel. So they found a way to trim it. I don't really have any other complaints besides Dr. Robotnik's scene sometimes lasting too long. But other than that, I'm trying hard to think right now on top of my head what are some complaints. There's none. There's none besides the runtime. And I'm trying to be really critical here. I'm trying to think. I can't come to anything. So maybe you guys in the comment section can let me know what you guys think. Maybe there are some negatives that was more blatant than the runtime. You know what I mean? Let me know what you guys think. Was the runtime good for y'all, or did you guys have other complaints about the movie which were better executed? Definitely let me know in the comment section. Again, this is the Source Plug, and I'm out. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.